This is the Torque Test channel. We spent the last year testing over 150 different tools and recording data from over 1,350 different tests, all thanks to you guys who make this possible by watching videos like these, clicking on things, and even purchasing our super sweet t-shirts. Here are the top 10 impacts from our 2021 season. You can find links to all of these below. Number 10. The Cobalt Brushless Right Angle Impact Wrench. Not to be confused with common right angle drills, ratchets, and drivers, this impact wrench looks like a cordless ratchet, but instead of delivering 30 to 50 foot-pounds of torque action by itself, it's delivering 180 foot-pounds of impact action. Correction, 252 foot-pounds, as we found out in episode 46, delivering 140% of its torque claim. The main reason it was on our last underrated top 10 list. As impressive as this tool was, it doesn't have a whole lot of competition to prove itself. So far, basically, the 12-volt Milwaukee, an expensive Ingersoll Rand cordless, and a Dewalt made by Klein for telephone pole action. If competitors like Dewalt come out with this for the masses, and the Cobalt remains on top, it would really earn its place. That, and with the battery position on this tool, it's sort of awkward to fit this everywhere. So if you have compressed air, an honorable mention goes to the Onyx Nano 1832, which makes even more power without that inconvenience, but obviously does require that compressed air. Number 9. Both the SnapOn and Macco cordless high torques. These two green tools here recently took our top 2 spots, exactly tying in flat out power across the run. They are extremely spendy at $460 to $540 bare and near $1,000 as a kit. Can be a bit clunky and awkward shaped in the SnapOn's case and completely lacking modes in the Macco's case, but the CT9080 and MCL 2012 are the most powerful half-inch guns you can buy, and that deserves some credit. Considering neither of these tools are being sold by brands mainly known for their cordless offerings, being able to best everyone else was surprising considering some of these smaller, still pricey, but known to be power-lacking models attributed to those like SnapOn and their CT9015. Those aren't known for bringing the beans. If you have the coin or just need that next day replacement to rely on for work, these two will get the job done quicker than any other in the category as far as we can tell. Number 8. The Cobalt XTR impact driver. The XTR is a take-no-prisoners brute of an impact driver that will snap an impact adapter quicker than you can point out that being 24 volts is somehow not fair. It claims to make 200 foot-pounds, and it makes that and then some, 223 to be exact, all in a package that is one of the more affordable impact driver kits you can buy at $179, and a very decent 21700 cell battery pack with it. But that package is, well, a big one. 5.5 inches long may not sound like a lot to handle where you're from, but around these parts, I'm not ashamed to say we're used to dealing with much smaller. But in the end, a 24 volt impact with this kind of power but smaller does exist. Chervon just makes it in gray instead of blue for more coin in the flex, though it isn't the step up in performance overall you might expect, with just enough drawbacks that it didn't really make the list today, like this bargain XTR did. Number 7. The Makita XGT1415Z compact impact wrenches. Despite looking much like their previous generations, something Makita does a lot of, and well, looking like a lot of knockoffs that exist as well, check out that fail of a video if you haven't. The 14 and 15Z are the latest 2020 hotness from the LXT 18-volt lines of compact impacts. And their specs and performance tell the story. 430 foot-pounds nut busting and 240 foot-pounds tightening. If that last one doesn't sound very high, it's because it's vastly underrated on that particular figure. Instead of 240, we saw a whole 337. And more impressively in our experience, 329 in its 10-second max torque test. Numbers you won't see matched elsewhere in cordless. But you're also not likely to find too many compact impact wrenches this long at 5 5/8 inches. Not that this tool is large by any measure, but when we're talking compact impacts, you do need to lend some importance to size, and this is on the longer end of that scale. The only thing holding this tool back, if there is really anything to speak of at all. Great tool overall. Number 6. The Milwaukee Gen 2 mid-torque in both half-inch and 3/8. As impressive and flashy as the high torques we like to show on this channel are, they're not the first cordless impact we go to around the shop on chassis, suspension, and even lug nuts most of the time. Mid-torques get the lion's share of ugga-duggas around here, and most of the time that mid-torque we're picking up is the Milwaukee 2960 or 2962-20, with the added bonus that in some scenarios, the 3/8 can and often does make more beans. Check out that head scratching of a video above. While the Makita mid-torque is by all measures a more capable, powerful tool, that would be our suggestion if you had to buy just one cordless impact. Buy that and it can do the normal tasks and a lot of the very heavy lifting you'd use a high torque for as well, especially if you're willing to make it rain and buy the XGT 40V version, which did make heaps more power. But if you own a high torque or really own multiple options in general, like us, I think it goes without saying, you might find yourself reaching for that lighter, smaller Gen 2 mid-torque that makes an impressive 450 to over 500 foot-pounds on our dyno depending on the battery you use. Number 5, the Dewalt DCF 850 Atomic Impact Driver and Atomic Impact Wrench DCF 921. Both of these surely deserve to be top 5 tools on our list this year. Dewalt these last few months of 2021 has had a fire in their britches. Many, including us, felt until recently that Dewalt had been resting on their laurels, many of their current models getting pretty long in the tooth compared to other top brands. Well, someone must have poked the giant over at Dewalt because all of a sudden they're hitting it out of the park with new compact battery tech and new compact impact models like these two that go along with it, including the DCF 850, which is the smallest impact driver we've ever seen, yet definitely brings the heat when it comes to power. Dewalt says 152 foot-pounds and it saw as high as 177. The main thing holding it back at introduction being a lofty $150 price point for a bare driver, but with recent holiday sales at much less, we really feel that despite other drivers sometimes making more power, like the Cobalt XTR we just mentioned, this really is the impact driver to beat when it comes to size and power, Milwaukee Gen 3 being sort of right up there as well. While the new DCF 850 driver is a home run, you can still find existing very decent Dewalt impact drivers on every job site this side of the equator still making their owners money. It has been some time since an all-new tech model like the DCF 850, but their current lineup was still doing pretty well for itself. Their compact impact wrenches, on the other hand, yeah, they were a bit outdated in our opinion. We know of very few people using these still on a daily basis because there has been such strong advancements in the last few years from their competition that you can just do more with. The all-new DCF 921 though, this skips a whole generation we feel and jumps straight into 2022 head first. Under 5 inches, 450 foot-pounds breakaway and 300 foot-pounds tightening. And we saw 319 tightening ourselves. At this size, you usually need air for that kind of power. The new buttons and mode settings are a welcome surprise to us on this tool, even though we know some of you love those old school tactile switches. If these two new Dewalt impacts are any indication, the rumored new mid-torque and high torque from Dewalt on the horizon should be showstoppers. Number 4. The Astro Onyx Thor impact wrench. I may be biased at this point, but the dyno and anyone with a trigger finger ain't. This impact brings the beans, especially in reverse. Cordless high torques nowadays really running away with things in the forward torque direction if you're a ball joint or wheel hub press sort of guy. The 1894 is all about what it isn't. At 6.7 inches in length, it isn't long. That's mid-torque category if we were talking just cordless. At 4.9 pounds, it isn't high torque sort of weight. Closer in fact to half that. It isn't a wrist breaker like most air guns, and at around $190 or so, it isn't expensive, coming in under some of the bare batteries we've tested in price. While you'll be needing an air hose to enjoy that privilege, walking over to the wall and turning up the air pressure for some more beans when you need it is always a preference of ours to forking over an extra $150 to $250 for a fancy pants battery. Or even more if you're a Makita fan to double that voltage. Number 3. The Ingersoll-Rand W9691 cordless 1-inch impact. When a company puts forth an effort like this and succeeds, and it isn't piles more cash than competition, you gotta throw them some recognition. IR came out the gate swinging for the fences with numbers like 2,200 foot-pounds tightening and 3,000 foot-pounds nut busting. I mean, the goalpost was Milwaukee's 1900 and 2000, so I felt like they might be getting a bit carried away with those numbers. And as low as $1,400 as a kit, that puts it only a cool $100 above the Milwaukee. It all seemed a bit too good to be true for us. But after plenty of jostling and jiving on the dyno, we have nothing to report that would say that this impact is any less capable than Ingersoll-Rand implies in comparison to the Milwaukee. You can say that using 2 5 amp hour batteries is unfair compared to Milwaukee's overall larger 12 amp hour pack with also larger cell sizes, But there's been no stopping Milwaukee from doing the same thing. Can't fault IR for choosing to double things up. Though we didn't love that charger, something easily warrantied out, but keeping this tool from climbing up the list any further. Number 2, the rigid high torque. Oh boy, the R86-211B and TTC have somewhat of a love affair. Home Depot sold this tool for $220 retail, less of course than that also made by same parent company TTI brand Milwaukee high torque, yet making more power than that Milwaukee, using a 3 amp hour battery. So with this good news, what does rigid do? Discontinue the octane high torque, of course, to be replaced by a slightly smaller, less powerful model. If I had to guess, I would think similar to the also quite good new Ryobi high torque, but that's still not our precious, trusty rigid octane. I think it's a mixture of all these things that make it so epic. Non-top tier brand, lower pricing, specs sky high, and still delivers. Then banished to the shadow realm, this tool will be a collector's item quick, I'm telling you. Or you'll be able to buy it in red as the all-new Gen 3 Milwaukee high torque. I don't know. Either way, while it's here, this is the half-inch impact wrench of 2021 because it's both its best and last year to be around. So long, old friend.
In the arms of the angel.
Number 1. And here it is, our number 1 pick for Impact of the Year 2021, the Makita XGT 3/4 inch. If you watch this channel with some regularity, you probably saw this coming. This tool is just impressive. There's no getting around it. It makes Milwaukee 1-inch pistol impact power for several hundreds less, although it's still not cheap at $399, and it makes that power in reverse a more useful to us direction. You may be different, of course, but we can always count on Makita for making the most power in reverse every time, something not at all common among cordless manufacturers, and I'm sure is a characteristic unique to them for making their tools themselves. This tool made 1,000 foot-pounds on the dot for us in tightening tests and struggled very little getting there, sort of no fuss about it. We gave this one a 7.0 on our wrist breaking score, sort of average for half-inch tools usually making 600 to 700 foot-pounds, and it only experienced that when the bolt was maybe 800 foot-pounds plus. The 2.5 amp hour battery it comes with is a rock star, more than adequate, and we found it to outperform Makita's more expensive 21700 cell 4 amp hour pack, which is a plus side for you guys. All this while being 8.5 inches long. The LXT half-inch high torque we tested, which, well, was not our favorite, is 9 inches long. This tool earned 117.7 foot-pounds per inch of length, by far and away the most of anything cordless we've tested, fourth of anything we've tested bar none, after the Thor Vibrotherm and Mac tools, which have an inherent advantage there being air when it comes to that power per inch. Listen, this tool is not cheap, okay? And it's not a tool we'd recommend for everyone. 3/4 inch impact sockets are not as common or cheap, but this tool is only $50 up on the 40 volt mid torque and makes literally double the power of that very impressive tool. We're glossing over the fact that this was originally meant to compare to Milwaukee's 3/4 inch, but is sort of a new 2021-2022 league of its own, and we've been comparing it to 1-inch guns ever since we bought it. Let us know if you find something 3/4 inch and worthy to take on this puppy in the comments, because we want to test it. And that's it, folks, our top 10. Plenty of opinions in this one. Usually we let the dyno do the talking, so we understand if you disagree with any of these or felt we snubbed some others. Let us know down in the comments how we messed up. 2021 has been a wild ride for the channel. Last November was our first episode, so this year really has been insane. I still can't believe you guys keep watching. Everyone who makes TTC possible, thank you. This started out as a quarantine hobby, and you guys have really made it into much, much more. Have a great holiday season. Go spend time with your family. I really do. Thank you for watching.